This is a story of fortune, the fortunes of a city and of its people, Hong Kong. It's one of the most overcrowded, hyperactive cities on Earth. For 200 years, it's been a magnet for people seeking their fortune. Not only Western carpetbaggers, but a much greater number of Chinese people too. Hong Kong looks like a modern, almost futuristic Western city. But beneath the glittering surface are invisible cultural bonds, beliefs and practices that tie Hong Kong not to the West, but to ancient China. Over a typical 24 hours in the life of this city, I want to explore it, to feel its pulse, and to meet the people who make Hong Kong what it is today. The 24-hour day starts in the middle of the night. I'm on board a boat in what for me are uncharted waters, the South China Seas.
This is a bit of a boyhood fantasy come true. I'm on patrol in one of the greatest harbours in the world, making my way into port with the Hong Kong Maritime Police.
We're out looking for smugglers, though oddly enough, drug smuggling isn't a major problem today. It doesn't pay well enough.
It's only odd in the context that it was drugs that founded this city.
That was because 150 years ago, Britain had a surplus of a valuable crop we grew in India, opium. And the British government used it to trade in this part of the world. We were the world's drug dealers.
So basically, the British forced the Chinese to take opium, and thousands of people in China became addicted to smoking opium. When the Chinese refused to take it anymore, we declared war on them. We sent gunboats, and we won the war. And as reparation, we demanded a harbour of our own. This is what we got. Hong Kong, the fragrant harbour.
Up until 12 years ago, Hong Kong still belonged to Britain. It was our gateway to the most massive market on Earth, China. But in 1997, the British left. The mainland Chinese run the show here now. The 425 square miles of territories have been given 50 years of independent, separate development. And Hong Kong has grasped at the opportunity like a hungry shark. Despite the financial crisis, this is a town with a single-minded determination to prosper. I'm entering a city of the deal. These tropical fish like me are fresh off the boat. It may be the middle of the night, but nothing gets in the way of a sale. The shop is open. A wealthy enthusiast, Mr. So, has got out of bed and come down here to get first pickings of this haul for his private aquarium.
And these are just special to you because of their appearance?
Because the quality, and also some of them are very rare fish.
Right.
Once a year, they can catch couple. Then he will call me that there's some special fish coming. If I, see interest, then I ask him, just hold it for me. Right. And then before everybody comes into the shop, then if the condition is good, then I start, to purchase. You see how, the condition is now?
Yes.
Everybody very, moving very quickly.
Yeah.
And they are biting each other and chasing each other.
Yeah.
And very good condition.
So they're happy fish?
Yeah, happy fish for sure.
How much do these fish cost?
Well, sometimes can be around 3,000 to 5,000 US.
3,000 to 5,000 US?
Yeah, it's not cheap fish.
No.
It's expensive fish.
These brightly coloured fish are supposed to bring good fortune to their owners. Destined for rich men's aquariums, it looks like they may end up with more living space than most of the population. But I'm going underground to join the cleaners on their graveyard shift, polishing the MTR, Hong Kong's shiny subway system. We're prepping it for the day ahead, though the day before hardly seems to have made its mark. The platform is already so gleaming you could eat a spring roll off it, though nobody does eat on this subway. Nobody litters, nobody steps out of line. It's not just the cleaners who are part of the team, so are the passengers. This is Team Hong Kong.
This is also one for the Guinness Book of Records, because I am apparently the first Westerner, the first Guilo to ever work on the cleaning team of the MTR. They usually come here to work in Jardines and make a few billion on the side.
Jardines is one of the famous trading houses that make up the greater corporation of Hong Kong itself. The city's position in the world gives it a distinct advantage. While the stock exchanges in Europe and America sleep, Hong Kong is just stirring into action for a new day on the money markets. 6:30 and the city wakes like a spring.
Doors were open on the right.
7 million people live on this small island and its adjacent territory. By far the largest number of them, over 95%, are Chinese. Guilos, ghosts or devil men as it translates, that is, foreigners, make up such a small proportion of the population today that they're barely noticeable. But Hong Kong money markets aren't the only markets opening their shutters for business. I've come to Hong Kong's bird market to assist Mr. Chan setting out his stall for the day. Fish, birds, people. Everybody seems a bit shut in Hong Kong, but these treasured, feathered companions are a 3,000-year-old hobby. Hong Kong resident Kim has kept birds all his life.
Is it dying out, the keeping of birds in Hong Kong? Do young people keep birds?
Yes, but young people, they cannot afford to buy them.
Yeah.
For a month of grasshoppers and everything, it cost me about 800.
How many grasshoppers will he eat?
At the moment, I feed them 20.
20.
Yes, but these are soft ones. When time comes, then I have to feed them 40 a day, you know.
40 a day. It's a 40 a day habit. This is an expensive bird to keep. More expensive than a dog.
More expensive than a human.
Once, a Chinese gentleman like Kim would have taken his bird to a cafe to meet or even to fight with other birds while he drank tea and talked business. There's not a lot of time for that today, but it would be quite wrong to think that Chinese culture is some sort of quaint antique. It bubbles through the middle of this modern city. As communist China went through a series of violent modernizations and cultural revolutions, huge numbers fled to Hong Kong, and they took the old culture with them. It was a massive explosion of people. Since the 1950s, the city has seized every inch of available building space. 7,653 high-rise buildings make it the most vertical city in the world. The skyline changes by the month, if not the hour. Space became so limited, they actually started making it. The government tore down some of the smaller hills and dumped them in the sea. People joke that they'll soon be able to walk from Kowloon to the island without getting their feet wet. And the tallest building in the city, the ICC, stands on some of the latest reclaimed land.
Hello, my name is Griff Jones.
I walked in expecting a pass and was given a hard hat. Somewhere above me, they're still finishing the place. This was supposed to be the highest building in the world, but now, at a staggering 118 stories, they have to make do within the 4th tallest. Welcome to the most ambitious loft conversion in the Northern Hemisphere.
That's fantastic. I can see the whole of Hong Kong behind me reflected in the windows of the building. I very much like this lift. There are absolutely no options. We can't stop for haberdashery. It doesn't stop anywhere except the 100th floor, where they're still in the process of completing the building. Here we go. Oh, I see. That's just an unfinished section. Whoa! We're stood here and these things are passing by like express trains, carrying workers and materials up to finish off this monstrous place. Monstrous! We're infeasibly high up here. It's like being suspended at aeroplane height above Hong Kong. What's absolutely extraordinary, there's been quite a lot of debate about this building because it's supposed to have been built in harmony with the surroundings. It's a very important part of its architectural processes, but nobody has questioned the harmoniousness of building something which is just so huge.
Astonishingly, this building's foundations don't even reach the bedrock. 1,590 feet of construction is supported by massive artificial pilings. But there are other considerations too.
A great mass of glass and steel which seems to speak of the utmost modernity. And yet, the construction of a lot of those buildings was actually determined not just by the highest paid architects in the world, but also by geomancers.
Or feng shui masters, as they're known here. Theirs is the pursuit of a cosmic harmony, and it's been practiced in China for more than 3,500 years. More recently, when the architect Norman Foster submitted his design for this skyscraper, the HSBC Bank, the most expensive building project of its day, they called in a feng shui master who
used his powers of geomancy to make sure that the building was in harmony with the mountains and the sea, the water and the wind. And the dragons, obviously.
I wonder what Norman Foster thought when the master insisted that the position of the 2 longest freestanding escalators in the world had to be adjusted and the building's entrance raised up on stilts. And why?
Well, for obvious reasons, which is to allow the spirits of the dragons to come through and be able to drink in the sea.
In modern Hong Kong, no business can ignore the ancient practice of cosmic harmony, because if your building doesn't have good feng shui, you'll have no customers. This ship does have lots of customers. It's a thriving restaurant business. It may be concreted to dry land and may be going nowhere, but I was assured its feng shui is tip-top. Like many things in Hong Kong, the downpour seems excessive. It's the rainy season. It's not going to stop for another 3 months. But trade goes on. The local term wet market takes on another meaning. For 100 years, this has been a refugee city. Its people have endured hopeless overcrowding. They've had threats from their huge neighbour, invasions from Japan, foreign rule and limited voting rights. They're not going to be stopped by a little rain. At midday, the city teems with office workers on their lunch break. But I'm trying to keep dry on the Ding Ding, which is what the trams are affectionately known as here. Becky Lee has recently returned from overseas.
I was born in Hong Kong, and we immigrated to Canada when I was 2.
So now, do you find yourself poised like Hong Kong, as it were, between the East and the West, as it were? Or do you find yourself more, when you're in Hong Kong, more back in China than you would do in Canada?
They call me a banana here. Because,
a banana?
Yes, because I'm yellow on the outside, white on the inside. But when I'm in Canada, they consider me Chinese. Here they consider me Western. So I'm kind of like dual personality.
Becky gave me her perspective on Chinese good fortune and superstition.
My mom is the most superstitious person in the world. She's superstitious about everything. So it was very much built into me. She would never have a phone number or an address or live somewhere with the number 4, because 4 in Chinese means death. So if we were given a phone number that had the number 4, she'd change it with the operator. We wouldn't live on the 4th floor or the 14th floor. We would have all kinds of Chinese items that we would place around the house so that we'd have good feng shui, so that we'd have positive energy flowing in the house. See here? That is also a symbol. It's like a dragon/lion. You'll find that in front of a lot of banks to protect the wealth. When it's Chinese New Year, you do say Happy Chinese New Year, but mostly you say 恭喜发财, like congratulations, hope you make money, make more money this year.
But this is not some mild hocus-pocus. The daily life of cosmopolitan, cool young Hong Kongers is dominated by symbols, omens, and a belief that a divine fate governs the life of everybody.
I could actually barely keep pace with people hurrying through here. This is the Wong Tai Shin Temple. What I like is everybody comes here with such a furious purposefulness. They don't hang around, they're not here to gawp like I would at a Romanesque cathedral. They're here to get something done. They want to get some good fortune and move on as quickly as possible. Most of the visitors here are from the mainland China. It's the biggest change to Hong Kong over the last 5 or so years. What were just about 2 million visitors 15 years ago are now 15 million tourists a year from the mainland, and you can step from one of the most repressive, organised regimes in the world straight into one of the freest and most liberal.
One country, two systems is how the mainland Chinese government describes Hong Kong now that it belongs to them. This tour bus has driven down from China to take a look. The mainland Chinese tourists have come to see the future.
I have to apologise. I do not speak any Mandarin Chinese, except a tiny bit, which I learnt when I was in school. 东方红，太阳升，中国除了给毛泽东，要为人民不幸福，哎呀，他。
Was I taking a terrible liberty singing The East is Red, an old Maoist anthem from the days of China's Cultural Revolution? Thank goodness it was my turn for some good fortune. It was like singing some old Beatles song, just a memory of a different era.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say that I have no idea what the words of the song mean.
Oddly enough, a lot of Hong Kongers would understand little more of that song than I do. Here, people speak Cantonese Chinese and the song's in Mandarin, the language of the mainland. But now that the mainland is in charge, Hong Kongers need to learn Mandarin too. Today, school children are under pressure to communicate in a variety of languages: Cantonese, Mandarin, English, and the one entirely foreign to me, numbers.
加6加2加3加5減1減6加7
Parents go to great lengths in Hong Kong to make sure that their children are given the tools to succeed in a fierce marketplace. An appetite for hard slog starts early here, and Simon Wu's maths class is no place for slackers.
You're right.
嗱，一題快啦，一嚟開始，準備11減80加23加39加97減98減70，打個答案出嚟。
42 is
好，寫個答案出嚟。
3, 8 minus 3, 5, plus 2 is 7, minus 1 is 6.
94.
94, okay, thanks. 95 plus 95 minus is 104, minus 88 is 70, 100. Wait a minute.
好
9 plus.
寫個答案出嚟。
89.
Okay, 89.
Simon, the inspiring teacher who pioneered this method of mental arithmetic, has discovered what I've always known, that maths isn't my strong suit. Rescuing me from further humiliation, Simon lends me his calculator and a list of the numbers so that I can have some advantage over the class.
96減38加97減82減12，做呢個數。好，幾多？61，開始準備。95減30減58加64減10。
No, it's absolutely no good. Even with a calculator and the numbers in front of me, I was left far behind the children who were doing the sums in their head.
I want to start by saying that's like a miracle. That's an incredible thing to see. In Hong Kong schools, is there a lot of pressure for children to succeed?
Yeah. The pressure very.
Yes.
Yeah. The parents, the pressure so
Yes.
very.
So are these children the children of rich parents?
Yeah. Some boys and children is the family. If no money to play, I will free of charge.
You will do this free of charge? Yes.
It's free of charge, and free of charge.
Simon explains that these are not particularly gifted children. Anyone can master his method of visualizing numbers. Even I could learn. But first, the children would have to show me how the abacus works.
And then it's 2, 3, 4, and then 5.
1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
We start here on the third one in.
Yeah.
Why is that?
This is cents.
Yes, that's cents.
This is dollars.
And this is dollars.
Yes.
Yes, I see.
The children's appetite for numbers, I now realise, was not so much out of love for maths as preparation for their future as financial whiz-kids. And here they were, learning to harness their minds like high-speed computers by using the most ancient of tools, the 5,000-year-old abacus.
So you begin by doing the calculations on the abacus. And then how do you make it in your mind?
Look like your head has a finger, and then you do that, and then you will have an answer to your heart.
But how do you go so quickly?
You look like sleepy, but you don't sleepy, and then you will see an abacus in your head.
So you see it in your head?
Yes. Yeah.
You see the abacus in your head.
A bad bout of Madonna-itis took hold. I had to repress an urge to take young Bosco home. He'd fix my tax returns in a second.
講。
It hardly comes as a surprise when I'm told that Hong Kong has the highest percentage of millionaires per square mile of anywhere in the world. It also, by the way, has the highest ownership of Rolls-Royces per capita, the most Mercedes-Benzes of anywhere outside Germany, and today the people of Hong Kong are the greatest users of mobile phones on the planet. Across the city, the most gigantic temples of all are built to the god of consumerism.
Down these mean streets a man must go. This is the real Hong Kong experience today. Mile after mile. What do we call them? Malls? Malls? Nightmares? Air-conditioned marble halls, and you can't tell whether it's day or night. And nor can the shoppers, because the shops are all open until about midnight. Dunhill, Gucci, Pringle, Kilgore and French. It just goes on and on and on.
When I was growing up, half my toys bore the label Made in Hong Kong. This was an island of factories, and it's still a can-do city. And nobody can do like Hong Kong's tailors can do.
Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Ali says that I might be able to get a suit here.
Yeah, you can. So you've got the black one with the
Yes.
beige pinstripe, which
Yeah.
will look really nice as well.
Very nice.
My experience in Raj's shop turned out to be more Mumbai via LA than I was expecting. But apparently it's normal for Hong Kong tailors to have an Indian shop front.
Which you said you have a lot of dark blue, but
Narrow collar. Oh my goodness.
I'm giving you like one of the best price. And as my dad would say, lose money, make friends.
Let's go for that.
Yeah.
Let's go for that.
For that?
Yeah. And you can do it by 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll get it done by 5 o'clock, 3,000.
Amazingly, last orders can be as late as 2 p.m. for a same-day suit.
All right.
Raj insisted his cutter, a Hong Kong maestro called Ronaldo, would have it ready in time.
How many suits will you make in a day?
Sometimes 10 suits, 20 suits, 30 suits.
In a day?
Yeah.
This is magical because I can see the shape of my suit
you see?
emerging from it, yes.
This is the front part, blue button. Yeah, this is the lower pocket. And this is your shoulder.
Okay.
Your chest.
Yes.
Yeah, your waist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's a brilliant thing.
That's all.
That's all.
Yeah. The whole suits are cut.
In fact, Ronaldo's handcrafted skills are a dying art. Very little is actually manufactured in Hong Kong anymore. The factories have all gone off to the mainland.
I didn't realise it was so efficient.
On the 30th of June 1997, Prince Charles and Chris Patten waved goodbye and sailed away on the royal yacht Britannia. That was that. 156 years of British colonial rule of Hong Kong had come to an end. But a few things they couldn't squeeze onto the yacht got left behind and nurtured.
So, Bernard, everything is done in English, is it?
This song is sung in English, but the normal instruction, the talking are all done in Chinese, Cantonese. Just because this song is in English, so they sing in English.
Now, this song is in English.
That's
But they also said, I will do my best.
That's right, that's right.
And how big is the movement across Hong Kong?
Around 100,000 people, 100,000 members across Hong Kong.
Yes, and loyal? I mean, are people loyal to the idea of being a Boy Scout and they stay, once a Boy Scout, they stay a Boy Scout?
It's a lifetime.
Yeah?
It's a lifetime, yeah.
The Hong Kong way is the team way. Being a loyal member of a gang or family is vital. And who is more loyal than a Cub Scout? I was pleased to find out that the real draw here, though, wasn't in fact discipline or the orderly drill, but a good old water fight. But there are slight differences. Bernard told me that the Hong Kong Scouts have their command centre in the city's Kowloon district. A symbol of the way that Hong Kong takes what it likes and improves it.
Now, this really is exciting. This, in the middle of Kowloon, is the Boy Scout Hotel. It's the biggest, most luxurious, marble-clad scout hut in the world. I'm told that other scouting associations are slightly surprised to find that Hong Kong has its own Scouts Hotel. You don't have to be a scout to stay here, by the way. I don't even think you have to sleep in a sleeping bag and cook your own food in your room. I think it offers a lot more than that. I hope whoever built it got a special badge for business enterprise.
For 100 years, Western bosses lived segregated lives in lofty villas up on the peak. The steep, jungle-clad mountain overlooks the city and was known as a Little England in the Eastern Seas. I'm on my way to visit one of the few Europeans who still lives up here.
We're on the Peak Road now, making our way across the Peak Bridge, what's charmingly described in my hand-drawn map as a flyover. Well, that's the flyover done with. Flyover, my arse. So, we're going over the little bridge, down here. Sure. We come to Vivian Court. King's Court. Mount Kellett Road. You could be in Bournemouth. Here we are, number 57. Here's the garage. And a turntable. Do you think there's a turntable for turning your car around? No, it must be a water system. Wow. I think it is a turntable. Want one of those?
Hello, Griff.
Hello.
Come on down. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Michael Green was born in Shanghai, but has lived his adult life here in Hong Kong and has no intention of moving away.
Do you think of yourself as a citizen of Hong Kong now?
Do you know nobody who is not racially Chinese can? I view myself as a guest in Hong Kong. A welcome guest, a permanent guest, but not a national.
Up here on the peak, where you live, this is the area where people traditionally aspired to live.
In the very early days of Hong Kong, Westerners only were allowed to live on the peak. And now, of course, anyone can come. But it's expensive. Property is extremely expensive.
This is a city of money, is it?
Yes, absolutely. It makes Hong Kong go round. I've said Hong Kong is not one of the richest cities in the world. It is the richest city in the world. They're low taxes, enormously wealthy families, and it makes me smile when Forbes publishes the richest list. They get it so far wrong for the Hong Kong people. I mean...
But because you know the money is here.
I know that those chaps on the list have got about 5 or 10 times as much as Mr. Forbes thinks they have.
Now, there's an interesting thing here. What do people do with their money?
It is the work ethic. They use their money to make more money. That's Hong Kong.
Money and wealth. The same thorny old topic up on the peak as down on the levels. Of course, you can't take it with you. But in Hong Kong, material goods can be forwarded to you in the afterlife. There's a thriving industry here in what I can only describe as supermarkets for the dead. This shop sells perfectly made paper replicas of household goods.
It's a scuba gear. They're very beautiful, some of these things.
And they're all items that you burn as offerings for your departed loved ones. The afterlife, it seems, is a place where consumerism still reigns.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to like the cakes here look absolutely delicious. Look at these chocolate sprinkles. It's like being in a real supermarket. It's so incredibly beautifully made, this stuff, that it's difficult to believe that it's all going to go up in flames. The other thing that people are very, very fond of is a little bit of cognac. We have Hades cognac, but there's a bit of a kick on that, eh? I imagine this is mostly a solution to a lot of problems, though. Money. Have to buy a couple of skyscrapers here. Obviously, what you're trying to do is provide whatever Granny was partial to. There's no point in giving her dumplings if she never ate dumplings. Or perhaps she was more fond of expensive abalone or wonderful wrapped rice. But if Granny was inclined to be a little bit, take her meals a little bit less seriously, then there's a big container. Oh, no! There's a big container here. Just knocked over the shaving kit. Female shaving kit. And there's a big container of pot noodles here. Perfect old lady's umbrella made of paper. And actually, I have to say, there is something funny here. I came and I did find it amusing, but the more you look, there's also something a lot deeper here, because it's not just about consumerism, it's about creating a picture of a character, of the things they liked, of their aspirations in life, and offering it to them. And there's a lot of affection here as well, a lot of love.
But in fact, spiritual prosperity is as vital in Hong Kong as amassing wealth, consumer goods, and making a fortune here on Earth. Taoism has its roots deep within Chinese culture. I discovered that it's a very practical religion, almost a guide to the do's and don'ts of this life. Perhaps that's why, along with Buddhism, Taoism is still practiced by 700,000 Hong Kong people. Chairman Lau explained that the worship I had just witnessed has changed little in 4,500 years. And as I went to leave, I was presented with a book of teachings. Part philosophy, part wisdom. These are ancient instructions on how to get the best out of life. And it was explained in some detail how relevant they could be to my own endeavours.
You are pious,
yes,
and you are confident in yourself to continue pursuing Taoism.
Yes.
Then this is the most important thing.
I think I need some time.
And I think I sensed that Chairman Lau was rather relieved that I was not going to be his new disciple.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going on. This is actually the time when the Waterfront takes on this extraordinary, mystic, monochromatic quality. This wonderful blue and misty feel. And then, of course, all the lights on the buildings come on. As a foreign visitor in Hong Kong, I feel I'm doomed to be an eternal onlooker. All those lives going on behind all that plate glass. The biggest, most cohesive team in Chinese life is the family. It's hard for an outsider to penetrate. But every week, the Chans, a family of shopkeepers from Kowloon, gather together for dinner. And with more than 30 mouths to feed, they insisted one more wouldn't make much difference. Hi.
Yeah.
I have to be careful if I say hi.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, this one, exactly.
Lily Chan tutored me on the nuances of Cantonese. Not a simple task, as the language at times needs to be sung to make proper sense.
Okay, and what about, that's Lei Ho, is hello, and...
I told the Chans that at home my own family only got together like this on special occasions. Clearly, they felt sorry for me, and to cheer me up, they began a Chinese cover version of an old familiar song. It was a privilege to join the Chans at dinner. I saw something that the Chans themselves must have all known since childhood. This is the security that goes hand in hand with the intimacy and loyalty of a Chinese family.
Very good. It's not my birthday, but still, never mind. I can go back to London now and sing that at parties.
The suit I'd watched being cut earlier was stitched and ready in the nick of time. Where I was going, I needed something smart and just a little bit flash. The night races at Happy Valley bring together all of Hong Kong society. Gambling on the horses is a Hong Kong passion. It's been going on here in what is now the heart of the city for more than 160 years. I've come to meet Casper Founds. Not a bad choice to give me some racing nows because Casper happens to be one of Hong Kong's champion trainers.
Like tonight with 8 races, we're averaging over 100 million US per race in betting. That's across the Wynn Place, Quinellas, and
Well, that luckily that puts me in my place. That's good. That means that my contribution is suitably small. My reckoning, Casper, is you know pretty well what horses are coming up here, do you?
Yeah,
You've got a pretty fair idea.
Like to think so.
You are the best person I could possibly find. You, apart from training there, you know all the other trainers and all the other ones.
We know them all, but that doesn't give us the edge. We're still very competitive. And,
So how is Achilles going to do tonight?
yeah, he's got to run well. I just thought number 4 is very hard to beat, and I see myself running in the first 3, so with a bit of luck, hopefully we can win it. A little bit further back than I wanted. I was expecting to be sort of 4th, 5th in the run. So I'm 8th. Need a bit of luck now.
Is he coming through?
He's coming through maybe to get 4th, but he needs a bit of luck now. Just behind him, no good. Just got too far back. Run about 4th last, but just got too far back in the run. The first sort of 8, 9 runners have got within 3 lengths of the winner. It's a tightly bunched finish. But I didn't quite like that one. That's racing.
No. That's racing for me all over. The experience you've gone through just then.
Casper's horse may have lost, but he still had the optimism of a born insider. And he gave me the name of a dead cert running in the next race. I'm a very lucky gambler. I always lose, so I never get hooked. But armed with my tip, I left the amateur gamblers and set off to rub shoulders with the pros. Here in the betting hall, winning is a hard, determined job. The tips are so hot, they raise the room temperature.
Horse 3, in race 6, $200 for a place. Great. Thank you, there we are. Horse for place, $200. There we go. 6 by 3, place. What did you get? What did you have?
Number 6, yeah, easy one. Number 6,
yeah. Congratulations. Thank you very much. That's good. I'm so excited I don't win at racing, and now I've met Casper, and my luck has changed. I've changed from an unfortunate man to a fortunate man.
I've been fortunate too, being able to see so many sides and faces of this city during the cycle of its 24-hour clock. At midnight, the town is still wide awake. Fortune. That's certainly been the overriding preoccupation of the hearts and minds of everyone I've encountered. Making certain they have good fortune so they might make a fortune. But I've not met a selfish or an inward-looking people. I've met tolerance, hospitality, generosity, and warmth. The Hong Kong Chinese have been about as cold and inscrutable to me as a great good-humoured party in this glittering, neon city of dreams.
Everywhere you see young people, because this is a generation that didn't come here as refugees and aren't just adventurers out to make a quick buck and then scarper. They're people who were born here, for whom Hong Kong is a home. And that, more than anything else, guarantees this city's future.
And of course, that future is Chinese.